ये पश्चिम बंगाल है, पश्चिम बंगाल। यहाँ पे 2 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन चलता है।
Namaskar. How are you all? Good morning from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today we have a very intense but short presentation on talking about the banality of evil, which is a term coined by Hannah Arendt, a philosopher, an author, and one who talks about the Holocaust. And we will compare it to the ongoing genocide of Hindus in Bangladesh, especially with relation to the Dipu Das, the very well-known case. So let me first share PowerPoints with you and we'll go through it slowly. This is a very important presentation. We talked about couple of things earlier, and this is very much related to that, that Dipu Das's killing is not a hate crime. And we talked about the difference between hate crime, mass killing, and genocide. And I also mentioned why Hiroshima and Nagasaki are not genocides. Now, continuing with that, you can consider this as kind of a continuation of whatever I already said, but this is a little bit more intense. So let's see. Because here, today, what I'm going to talk about is something that Hannah Arendt, the philosopher, she was a Polish Jewish woman. She analyzes the Holocaust and she coins a very important phrase called the banality of evil. What is it? What does the word banality mean? It means the ordinariness of evil. Let's try to understand this in the context of Dipu Das and other people. Just let's concentrate on Dipu Das's mass, the lynching, public lynching, and then burning, etc., which again happened with a guy called Chanchal Bhomik, I think, in Comilla. He was burnt while he was sleeping, but we'll concentrate on one. For us, what is important to understand is the banality of evil. What does the word banality means? It means the ordinariness of evil. What is Hannah Arendt saying? Hannah Arendt is saying that the people, for example, again, I'm going to use the Pudash as an example. Of course, Hannah Arendt didn't talk about him, but we are going to apply that. The people who did that evil act of burning him were ordinary people. If we come to know them, if we visit them, we talk to them, we won't find them professional criminals. They're very ordinary people, probably like any of us. And what do we mean by professional killers or criminals? Instead of the word killers, you can use the word criminals. Those who use crime as their profession. Contract killers and other kinds of people, they survive by stealing and robbing people. They are not like that. These people are not like that. They're ordinary people who were converted into doing such heinous evil acts. That's what Hannah Arendt means. Now let's go a little bit further. What I'm going to introduce here is a guy called Adolf Eichmann. A very important trial happened in Jerusalem. And during his trial, he actually fled. He was part of the Gestapo, and he sent millions of Jews to their death. And when Germany lost the war, the Axis power, they lost the war, and everything was dismantled. He fled to Argentina, and there he was sought out by the Israeli um, police, and he was brought back, and he was in trial um, in Jerusalem. The charges made against him was that he did crime against humanity. Now, what is very interesting for us is during his trial, when he was charged with a crime against humanity, he went on denying he never killed any Jew, etc. But the banality of evil is interesting because Adolf Eichmann was not a born criminal or anything. That was not his profession. He was like any of us. He worked for a private company, like ordinary 9 to 5 job. And then just an ordinary person, any of us, we can be converted into that. But that's the whole point here. And he left his job and joined the police force in Nazi Germany when the entire country was going through that kind of fervor of nationalism, etc. And he was responsible for sending millions of Jews to their death. He pleaded not guilty. He said he never killed a Jew. He was working for the government, and he was obeying government orders. See, this is very interesting. Suppose an army, I mean, someone during war, he is a pilot, in the Air Force. He goes and drops a bomb on a village, and he has no connection with the villagers. They are strangers to him. So why should he do an act that we would consider evil? Because that's his job. He's an Air Force pilot, and this is a war going on, and that's his job. So, killing ordinarily is an evil act. And mass killing, this is mass killing, dropping a bomb, which happened during Vietnam. Should we consider him evil? Well, he would say, I'm working for the government, for national interest. And that's what Eichmann said, that he was obeying governmental orders. He never hates anyone. He doesn't kill a Jew. He doesn't hate a person of a particular religious faith, in this case, the Jews. Now, he underwent psychiatric examination because he didn't show any remorse during his trial. So they wanted to see if he was abnormal in some way, if he was a sadistic person. And the psychiatric examination revealed that he was not a sadistic person. He was normal like anyone. But nonetheless, despite all his appeal and everything, he was subjected to the death penalty by the Israeli government in 1961. And so this was a crime against humanity. That was the charge. So for us, what is important, again back to Dipu Das, is suppose we met one of his killers who were taking pictures when he was burning, etc. These are not professional killers. If we meet them, we would consider them very ordinary people, 9 to 5 jobs, or students, or whatever. We don't know them, but if we met them, that's what I'm saying. They are ordinary people who are converted into killers. How? In Eichmann's case, it was the cog in the machine. And in this case, what is it that put them into this kind of a frenzy? So one would say in Eichmann, there was a brainwash from the government that this is your job, this is your duty. That was your moral duty to do certain things which we would consider extremely evil. Is the same thing that happened with these people who saw him burning and thought they did the right thing. Where is it coming from? So I'm going to read some verses from the Quran, and I will talk if this is where it's coming from. There are some verses in the Holy Quran that says, Allah hath made you Muslim his agent, inheritors of the earth, and promised to make them rulers of the earth. This is from Quran 24:55, 61:65. Then there's another verse, and fight them on until them, meaning the kafirs, the unbelievers, there prevails justice and faith in Allah together and everywhere. Allah, Quran 8:39. Then there are verses like, and fight them, the kafir, on until there's no more tumult or oppression, non-Islamic faith, they are oppressive, and then prevail justice. So all these are saying, if we read them carefully, that in order to set up a kingdom of justice, of truth, you have to fight and you have to annihilate, not just kill, annihilate those who are non-believers. Why? You're doing it for justice. That's the main key here. Isn't that what sort of Eichmann is saying? He was not killing anyone. He was doing it to obey government orders, which he thought was right. Correct. He was doing it for justice. All right. So let's go to the next slide. The Holy Quran also says that and fight them until there's no more tumult or oppression. So it's an anti-oppression fight actually, and there prevail justice and faith in Allah together with everywhere. Do the Kafir not see that the infidels, that is the unbelievers, that we are bringing destruction upon the land by curtailing it off its sides? See, the Kafirs not that we generally reduce the land in their control from its outlying borders. So these are very important. So they're fighting for justice. This is not, see, if you look at it from that point of view, that's what Adolf Eichmann was saying. He didn't kill anyone. He was obeying governmental orders, which he thought was just. The same thing here. So we have to look at it from that point of view, because otherwise the people who did what they did to Deepu Das are probably ordinary people. They're not professional killers. They're not what we consider hardcore criminals or anything. Then why did they do this act? Zimbardo did an experiment which is based on Hannah Arendt's writing on the cog in the machine, the banality of evil. Banality means the ordinariness of evil. These are not demons, evil persons who have done bad things since childhood. No, the banality of evil. Zimbardo did his Stanford experiment. In 1971, the social psychologist Philip Zimbardo showed in his movie Stanford Prison Experiment that certain social and political conditions are favorable for the emergence of this banality of evil. What does it mean? That when the social atmosphere is such that they're making you do something, Nazi ideology or the jihadi ideology, they're making you do this. I'm reading this quote, it's a long quote. What is most striking in Arendt's account of Eichmann is that all the ways in which he seems absolutely ordinary. I'm sure, again, if we meet people who are killing these ordinary Hindus with whom they have no enmity, this is not a battleground. Well, probably for them it's a battleground to realize that Darul Islam, but it's not really a battle going on. They are absolutely ordinary people like any of us. So Arendt's phrase of the banality of evil continues to resonate because genocide has been unleashed around the world and torture and terrorism continue to be common features of our golden global landscape. We prefer to distance ourselves from such a fundamental truth, seeing the madness of evildoers and senseless violence of tyranny as dispositional characters within their personal makeup. Arendt's analysis was the first to deny this orientation by observing the fluidity with which social forces can prompt normal people to horrific acts. This is the thing, that this is over and over again. These are normal people. They're not evil. They're not like demons. In mythology, we have demons and so forth. Then none of them are like that. They're ordinary people, and that's the banality of evil. Now, here I have some of my own views. They are banality of evil, but within what Zimbardo is saying, when the atmosphere is very conducive, like a jihad atmosphere is going on in Bangladesh, that's why they acted in the way they did. But one can question, how is it that not everyone is influenced by that? There are people who have risen above that and they don't do those acts of cruelty. Not everyone is involved in killing Hindus. Maybe they don't like the Hindus, but not everyone wants their complete destruction in order to bring in a Darul Islam, which is the European land within the Islamic system. So we can say that there are also character traits from childhood that make people do this. So not everyone is influenced by this. What are these character traits? There are many things: aggressiveness, childhood, upbringing, parenting, social influence as they're growing up. So these have to be taken into consideration. See, Zimbardo is putting everything into the social factor, that everyone's kind of brainwashed. Not everyone's in that ideology. There are people who, I'm sure they're very devout Muslims, they don't fall into this, because not everyone's, there are people who are critiquing it, there are people who are reporting it. How do they rise above that system? And they are criticizing what's going on in Bangladesh or even Pakistan right now. And so there are character traits. Now, for us, what is the solution? See, people think that the solution is one time rally, the government will do something. It's not that simple. The solution, there is no immediate solution to it. It's a, since this is a genocide, which means it's intergenerational, continuous, and genocide is not mass killing. Genocide is many things: raping, conversion, breaking uh, the sacred places, iconoclast, and many, many things. Now, genocide, to combat this, the combat genocide, it's not that simple. We cannot rely on one rally and with the government acting once and implementing forces on another foreign country won't help. It's continuous. It's education, it's communication, and the most important changes will come from within the community of the perpetrators. It's a continuous thing. Now, some people sometimes when they do movements like this, because this is a cultural revolution that we're trying to do, they get very disheartened that people are not waking up to the problems that are happening. People are not waking up to the justice. That is true. It's very, very difficult. And that's what Gramsci called passive revolution. It has to be continuous through films, through rallies, small rallies, through community education, through changing the system. Because we are not just opposing one act of Dipudash, we are trying to change the whole system. So it's a cultural revolution. In this context, I'm reminded of something that happened in Argentina in the 1970s. So there was a dirty war going on in Argentina, which is males, especially of the lower to lower middle class. They were going out and missing males. They were not coming back. They went to office and they never returned. They went to do groceries, they never returned. They're just missing. They went to watch a movie and they never returned. This is happening to the men in the family from all ages. And this was not something the government wanted the people to know, but their families knew that someone never returned, and they complained nothing was going on, because these were mostly leftist people of leftist ideology who was trying to protest the government and its policies, and they were being killed, missing, the missing people. And also the upper classes didn't know much about this. So this was only happening in the countryside, the rural areas, and in the urban areas, lower socioeconomic classes. Now, so what happened is some women, they started talking amongst themselves. My son is missing, my husband's missing. They went and never came back. I complained. I went to the police station. Nothing happened. My sister, my brother is missing, and so forth. It's all mostly men, very rarely a woman. So they met in the plaza and they started putting up little handwritten banners and going around the plaza. First, people called them the crazy women, le mujer loca. That the crazy woman, why are they going around every single day in the afternoon? Because they had housework, they can't be, they're not professional, protesters. And slowly it caught up. Then it became national and global, and it was stopped. So it's a continuous thing, and it's very hard, because again, we have to remember, we are not just protesting Deepu Das or Chanjal Bhaumik or the continuous killing that's happening in Bangladesh. We are protesting against a structure, a system of evil. And the banality of evil is very important for us to understand. So, for today, this was very important, and that is all I have for today. for our next day. It's very important. Please be with us. We are going to have one of the top experts in genocide studies, Dr. Dilip Kaul, the director of Jonaraj Institute in Jammu, India. He is going to show how we can make a distinction between hate crime, mass killing, genocide, and he's going to exactly pinpoint what the differences are through examples from Kashmir, from Bengal, from history and around the world. So that is all for tonight. Thank you. Be with us, be there, and we'll continue. Namaskar.